Recording in progress.
What about said microphones? Okay. Everybody here? Good.
Recording.
Good evening. It is 6:30 p.m. City of Franklin Common Council meeting of Tuesday, April 16th. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Alderman Holper.
Here.
Alderwoman Eichen.
Here.
Alderman Assam.
Here.
Alderwoman Day.
Here.
Alderman Barber.
Here.
Alderman Craig.
Here. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to move on to item B, citizen comment period. We've been reading the Franklin Rules of Decorum for attendees and participants the last few meetings. I'm going to not read it this one because there are copies that are still out there where the agenda is, and there's a laminated copy up at the microphone. So anybody wishing to speak at this time, please approach, state your name and address for the record, and I believe the microphone is on.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bert Stick, and I live at 7038 South Fieldstone Court. And I guess I'd like to make some comments pertaining to the special use resolution pertaining to Storage Mart. I was at the Plan Commission meeting along with a lot of my neighbors. And I read the resolution, and it didn't seem to, I guess, cover a lot of the things that we had mentioned at the Plan Commission. So it leaves an awful lot of questions pertaining to the use, maintenance, and just how things are going to be. So I've got an army behind me here that's got a lot of questions, but I'll just start with a few of my own. I think these questions are important, and they're going to need to be answered and documented in the resolution so that Storage Mart can be held accountable in the future for how they utilize and maintain their property. I know at the Plan Commission meeting, we talked about a fence in between the two buildings. They said that they'd do anything that we'd want, but nothing was ever changed or noted in the Plan Commission's report. Right now, that fence is, I think it's set to be 6 feet, which really isn't much of a deterrent. It's not anything that's significant for security. And we talked about making that considerably taller. It should really be as tall as the west end of Building B. But anyways, that needs to be discussed and documented. The west wall of Building B, that needs to be talked about too. We're losing half of the woodland, which is a nice buffer. Can break things up a little bit, but you lose half of it. And if anybody's been back there, it's pretty thin. So you're going to be looking at this 200-some foot building through not much more than twigs. So a discussion has to be had as to what we can do to buffer that visual, whether that's changing the color of that wall to blend in, plant trees, whatever. That needs to be discussed. In the resolution, it states how that property can be used and what it can't be used for, but it really doesn't cover anything pertaining to illegal activities. I'd like to know from them how they plan on, I guess, monitoring that.
That was 3 minutes, sir. You can just finish your thought, please, because we have a number of people that are looking.
Okay. The other thing is just maintenance. We talk about the use and how that can be controlled. But we don't talk about requirements for them to keep the property up as it appears to us on the backside. That's my final thought, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more questions coming from my neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Linda Anderson, and I live at 7002 Southfield Stone Court. I live directly west of Storage Master's current building. And I'm opposed to Storage Mart's request for the storage of any vehicles outside the building. From my standpoint, since Storage Mart purchased Storage Master in October of 2021, they have not been good neighbors to Whitnall Grove with ongoing parking violations. If they've refused to work with us in the past, why would we think that they'd be a good neighbor in the future and work with us? In the fall of 2021 until March of 2022, our then association president, Bob Cook, made numerous phone calls to Storage Mart, and no one would return his call. He even went over there and tried to talk to someone, and they wouldn't talk to him. At that point, he contacted he was hoping to come to some agreement with them to remove some vehicles in violation or to build a barrier so that we wouldn't see all of those vehicles. Because they refused to communicate with him, he contacted our Alderman, John Nelson, at that time. And on March 9th, Alderman Nelson filed a complaint regarding parked vehicles at Storage Mart. Some of these vehicles were damaged and rusted, and it looked like a junkyard there. And that's what I saw out of my living room window from the time they moved in until just maybe a month ago. I have pictures of some of the cars here. On March 23rd, Heath Eddy, who was the planning manager of the Department of City Development at that time, visited the site and sent an email to Bob Cook indicating what he saw, and I quote, "An RV, motorhome, 2 pickup trucks, a smaller SUV type vehicle, a boat on a trailer, a separate trailer, and another boat." He said he indicated that he would send a notice of the violation to Storage Mart, informing them of the limitations of vehicles, which was 3. I have a copy of that email also. I don't know if violations were sent, as those vehicles remained on the premises until the spring of 2023. As of this winter, there have been several vehicles that I see out my window, but in the last month, I would say some of them had disappeared, although there's a new large white truck that's on the south side, maybe 2.
Is this still there today?
I looked out the window today.
It's still there.
If the Common Council approves the expansion, I ask that you do not allow Storage Mart to have any outside parking of SUVs, trailers, campers, or anything else. Residents of Whitnall Grove would also like to have a barrier of trees planted along the entire lot line to hide all activity that occurs on their property, including cars that come around the backs of buildings with their headlights, all kinds of lights. And that's all I have. I don't know if anybody wants copies of those emails that I referenced, but I have them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Grant Johnson, 7374 Cambridge Drive, Franklin, Wisconsin. First of all, Mayor and Council, most of you are doing a great job. Dealing with a lot of bad elements, and I wish people who lose elections would figure out that they're no longer in power.
Grant,
Oh.
is the mic on?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Just
Yes.
maybe
Okay.
step a little closer because,
All right.
thank you.
So, I did want to say my First Amendment rights have been violated. Last time, a couple years ago, I was sitting over here. A police officer came to me and said, "Be on your best behavior." He was watching me when I was here. He walked out to watch me walk into my car. That was under Steve Olson's watch. So my First Amendments have been violated, my rights. So I just want to get that on the record. Hey, Steve, I hope you're doing well out there. So it's come to my attention as well that I didn't show up at these meetings. Somebody called me out, another citizen. I'm standing here right now. that citizen likes to share texts all over Facebook. I have a litany of texts here. If we want to play that game, I am happy to play that game, okay? And I will finally say this. Many of you up there, I don't know if you know, I'm a big, big music fan, okay? And there's a song by The Who. It's called Athena. What does that rhyme with? You think about it.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Anyone else wishing to speak at this time? Come on, welcome. I was looking at Ms. Gint.
My name is Kaylee Torman. I'm at 7014 South Fieldstone Court. I spoke at the last council meeting in regards to Storage Mart, and I have many concerns. My biggest is security and the safety, and what this could potentially bring to our surrounding area and the residents who are very close nearby. I took this photo, also light pollution, but I took this photo last night. I have it on my phone so I can show you that it hasn't been edited or tampered or anything like that, but it's bright. And last night, my mom and I were talking, and it looked a lot brighter to me. I'm not sure why, but you can actually see a truck back here, and next to it, there is a pontoon boat, I believe. I became more concerned after the council meeting the other week due to my conversation with someone that works with Storage Mart. I believe their true colors came out, and how they spoke to me was appalling. It made me extremely uncomfortable. It was very dismissive, aggressive, defensive in every way, because I started bringing up, well, would you consider doing background checks, and having that a part of the fee of your customers? And they said, absolutely not. My company wouldn't, we wouldn't want to, I think it was because of the cost. They tried to complain about that. I have done a lot of research since then, because that's what I do. And to me, that is not a plausible excuse. And then they actually told me that they care about their property. They don't care about my property. I said I was worried about safety. I have done a lot of research on break-ins on all different types of storage unit facilities across the country, and specifically theirs. And I have looked at the Better Business Bureau reports and complaints that have specifically been made to this company, and a lot of it is disturbing to read. I care about my community and my neighbors, and I want to make sure that everything's safe. I looked at their website, and it also discusses about how it's the verbiage. I want to know very detailed. I don't want loopholes. I want to know exactly what the plan is to ensure that everyone can be happy and safe. But when you say that there's 24-hour, there's security cameras, and last council they said, no, we're not going to have security guard. We might need one out in California. No, I have so much documentation of all of this that has happened, and this is probably just a sliver of what has happened. And it worries me to see what their plans are to move forward with their technology in forms of their customers gaining access. It's going to be much easier for other people to access the storage units, and there may not be documentation of who is showing up there. So I would like a clear, very clear, detailed example of how we're going to avoid any further crime.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi. I'm Larry Liss, 7024 South Fieldstone Court. First of all, I wanted to give concerns from our the board of director, that one of the board members who is in charge of our ponds. There's 3 ponds back in our association, condominium association, and it seems the main issue is the water runoff. And I think Alderman Craig also is an environmentalist, and he understands this more than me. You know, I don't quite get it, but they were concerned about, there's been a lot of flooding without the building. When the building comes off the roof, there's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be a constant swamp back there. I think that has to be addressed with the proper grading or plantings. When I bought the property, my wife and I thought, boy, it's a nice patio back here, nice deck. We could picture ourselves having coffee back there, or maybe an old a Bloody Mary on Sunday or something. Private. I want to ensure that we have privacy back there. If they plant something, it should be thick enough so we don't have to look at the building. And one of the points that Rich made is that it shouldn't be a white building. It should blend in with some other colors that are not so noticeable. That's basically it. Rich, is there anything else you want me to add?
Well,
Okay.
that's okay.
Well, the 3 ponds I mentioned, rainwater, we spend $6,000 a season to maintain these ponds. We have DNR fish farm license for the abundant fish, turtles, frogs, and other wildlife. Fish farm regulation number, he's got that on here. And he said, should the city of Franklin provide a catch basin along our lot line to Rawson Avenue? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Mara Zawicki. I live at 7026 Southfield Stone Court. Obviously, I'm here with the rest of our group concerned about what's happening with Storage Mart. I was a resident of like the Brown Deer, Milwaukee area for many years and decided to move maybe 2 years ago because of the crime rate, a lot of issues with people that weren't there for the right reasons and hurting and harming other people. And so I decided to move here because it was safe. It was quiet. The neighbors were great. And as Larry said, because I'm his roommate, I walked into that backyard of that house, even if it was in the middle of January of 21, or 22, I'm sorry, and fell in love with it. Loved the area, loved the people, and that was one of the things that sold me on moving to Franklin, moving to that place in general. So having heard all of this and being very concerned as a resident for myself and my neighbors, there's a lot of things that I'm concerned about. Safety, security, what's the view going to be in the backyard? It's a swamp right now back there. So with adding this additional building and all the other shenanigans that are going to go on, what is that going to do to our properties, our basements? Let's say our basements start flooding when they haven't in 20 years, all of that kind of thing. To me, it makes sense to seek the expertise of an arborist and or some sort of expert that knows the best practices for what the trees are as far as drainage, as far as water consumption, all of those things, and what would be a mature tree to be in that place to obscure our view, et cetera, to make sure that we're not losing any benefit to what we bought into when we came here. The other thing, like I said, safety and security, huge thing for me because of where I came from. This is why I bought here. This is why I came here. I think something needs to be addressed with the security, especially given all the issues Kaylee brought up. There's something's got to be done. Safety, security, water, the view. I'm in a place where I would probably see just the trees and not all the vehicles that others have brought up. But I think that's something valid everyone needs to take notice to and maybe even go over there and look at it to see what if that were your house? What if that were your mom's house, your dad's house, or something you've worked really hard to spend your hard-earned money on? And this is what you have to look at or what you have to do when you bought into a place and thought this is going to be my forever home. So that is my ask of you. Again, lighting is also an issue. Again, best practice, find a lighting engineer, lighting architect, figure out how that light doesn't shine on people's properties and goes the other way. Again, maybe with the trees, the fence, like whatever the plan is, it needs to have something concrete so we know that we're not going to have any loss of privacy, loss of safety, security, loss of view, loss of our property that we as an association and neighborhood spend a lot of money on maintaining what we have there. You could drive through, it's beautiful. All the green, like the yards are beautiful, everything's well taken care of, and none of us want to lose any of our property value to something else. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. Ellen Shiflett, 7,000 South Fieldstone Court, also representing the Whitnell Grove Condo Association. And our concern is the potential impact on property values for our property. This storage complex will border directly on our condo complex of 22 buildings and 44 units. These units right now are regularly selling, even before they hit the realtor's market, in excess of $425,000. They are very desirable units, as they are side-by-side units in each building with 2 units. In addition, our homes were reassessed in 2023 and our taxes raised at that time. We do want to note that Storage Mart does operate 2 other facilities in the Milwaukee metro area, and neither one of those facilities border on a residential area. So our situation is different from what they've worked with in other areas. You know, research shows that storage facilities can be an asset in the sense that they provide storage opportunities for residents, but they can also be very detrimental if they're not managed properly. And our complex has already documented problems with the owner, as the mayor is well aware, and show that they've not followed prior agreements that they've had with the city of Franklin up to this point. So now we're dealing with an increased size, increased height of this complex, potential security issues, lighting issues. We have pictures that were taken last night from the back of the condo showing the extent of the light that is already shining on our properties. We've expressed our concerns about outdoor parking, which continues to be a problem, and users coming and going up till 10 p.m. at night with these lights going off and on as motion detectors go. Now, this is in addition to the very, very serious water drainage issues, which have been there already, and we are really concerned what the very slight change in grade that exists now, what will happen to that when we have new construction going in there. All of these issues will potentially impact on our property values. And we're also concerned about the peace and quiet of the very lovely community that we live in right now. We feel very strongly that the council should consider that more time needs to be given to considering these issues, finding out what potential solutions are, and making sure that there's a written commitment to put those in place before anything moves forward with this potential issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Very well stated. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Hello, Danella McAdams, 8735 West Hawthorne Court. I'm here to talk about Ballpark Commons. So I appreciate the work that has been done so far, namely the turning of the speakers. I think that is a big step in the right direction. And also I understand that there's going to be I don't know if that's in place yet, but the monitors to check the sound at the property line. However, we're 3 weeks out before the season starts. And I just want to go through May through the end of June and bring up how many events there's going to be. And we still, unless I've missed something, we still haven't heard from the Common Council what the plan is to ensure that we will have peace and quiet this season. We were promised that by the time that the season started, there would be a plan in place. And I understand we have the monitors, but we shouldn't have to even be checking and going online to check to see. We shouldn't be hearing anything. Starting May 10th consecutively, May 10th through the 16th, there's baseball games. May 24th to the 26th, June 4th through the 9th, June 14th through the 16th, Then on June 21st, we have another 21 plus strictly enforced pop punk concert starting at 1 p.m. On June 22nd, we have another taco and tequila starting at 2 p.m., 21 strictly enforced. And we know why that's strictly enforced because of the language and whatnot is used during those events. And then we go back to baseball games, June 25th through the 30th. So that's 26 loud, intrusive events in a 6-week period. So I'm just wondering what the plan is. Is there a plan in place that we do not have to put up with another summer of hearing this in our homes? And is there going to be a meeting or some type of, I mean, where are we on this? I don't know. You know, if we had, I see Enchant, a Christmas event is on the agenda. That was beautiful. There was no sound even when we were outside. I didn't hear anything. If all the events, whatever they want to do on their property, as long as it stops at the property line and we don't have to be impacted by it, you won't see me here. But I'm very concerned that we're 3 weeks out and there still has been no communication as a solid plan. So I'm hoping that we do hear something before that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dana Gint, 9011 West Hawthorne Lane. I'm here to talk on item 8, 9, 10, and 22. I'm glad there's a large audience here. I think they need to be educated regarding many issues, and this is great that they're here. First of all, I want to start out with the Health Department report. I appreciate that it's done, but the starting paragraph says the Franklin Health Department is dedicated to fostering a thriving Franklin community for everyone, where everyone can live their healthiest life. I want to make a point that in May and in June of 2023, a handful of citizens spoke at the May Board of Health meeting because it was Mental Health Month, and we spoke about the mental health impact of the Rock Sports Complex, keeping our children awake at night, and the adverse impact of noise. We presented the Harvard Journal medical report that says noise and health. Noise pollution is more than a nuisance. It is a health risk. And this whole article is read into the record, I believe, that it says the growing danger of health and welfare as the nature's population is noise pollution. Noise pollution is the second most environmental and most harmful to public health. So this was presented to the Board of Health. And they were working on their health assessment at the time, and they've yet to, and they said that they were aware of the issues in 2023 of the noise. And here we are with this health report that does not make one mention of the adverse impact on all the citizens within 2 miles of this location. And that 2 miles is listed in the Milwaukee County Sound Study from May 2023, that it says literally this adversely impacts people as far as 2 miles away, that disturbs their sleep, and noise irritates and disrupts the quiet enjoyment of people up to 2 miles away. This report summarizes documented exceedances of the limits of the current Franklin and Greendale noise ordinances. This is their report. That's not my words at all. So my concern is that obviously the health department is fully aware that this is a nuisance, and they've yet to disclose it or to work with the city to resolve it. They said it would be brought back in the September 2023 after the sound study came out to review the health impact, and yet it is still not be addressed. I want to point out to the more people in the audience that the Rock Sports Complex is a public nuisance by definition in the Franklin ordinance, and they also have over $1 million shortfall for their TID agreement that the taxpayers are on the hook for it. So this property is more than a nuisance for the property owners in the area, but also for the entire city. And I appreciate the people, and I have sympathy for the people regarding their forever homes, and they want their quiet enjoyment. The people in my neighborhood lived in their homes for decades before the rock was put there. The city didn't plan it properly. They have not protected us for a decade. There's over 1,000 complaints. I want to just make that point to these people. They think that if they're going to complain, things are going to change. This is a new administration, so I appreciate that. But there's over 1,000 complaints about noise filed with the city of Franklin. and the Milwaukee County. So I just want to make that point out to you.
Thank you,
Good
Ms.
luck.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Check this out. Kurt Bolton, 8035 West Imperial Drive, Franklin, Wisconsin. We're going to talk about 3 topics tonight. And so I might go over the 4 minutes.
3.
3 minutes per topic?
Keep it
Fine.
going. No,
But-
3 minutes total.
I understand. That's one of the things I'm talking about. I understand you people have very busy lives, and this is not a money-making proposition for you. I think if people want to speak about more than one topic, 3 minutes per each topic, they should identify it ahead of time so that everybody knows it might go to 9 minutes. And you don't have to do it in each one, but just 9 minutes total. Second topic has to do with entering closed sessions and when coming out, not knowing anything at all what was decided. And I can understand where, at the time when you come out of the meeting, you don't want to, put something somewhere that this is what we're doing. Fine. But I would think that by the time of the next meeting, the minutes would not say, oh yeah, we came out of session, we said, do that, and that's it. You people are our representatives. We are responsible for everything you do. We end up paying the taxes. We hold the bills on everything. So I would appreciate it if, in a timely manner, decisions made in closed session would be made public so that everybody knows what you're doing and there isn't any, conspiracy theories about what the decision was and all this other stuff. And the third thing is, when it comes to TID 5, just enforce the contract. I mean, both sides entered into agreement with certain things, that they agreed to. Enforce the contract. And if it turns out that the contract is a matter of the developer wins and tails the city loses, well, then we need to think about what we're doing with TIDs. And I would suggest that maybe we put a moratorium on it until we get it figured out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak? Going once? Twice? Citizen comment period is closed. Going on to item C is in Charles, approval of minutes, regular common council meeting of April 3rd, 2024. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a first and a second by Alderman Craig. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. There's no hearings under D. David. Under E, organizational business, if we could go item E1, if there is no discussion, if it's okay to keep this all under one, under E1, to make one motion for, this will be a roll call vote, but for one motion, that would be good.
So move.
Second.
We have a first and a second by Alderwoman Eichman. Is there a roll call, please?
Alderman Hofer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Assam.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
6 ayes, no noes, motion carries. Go to E as in word number 2. Boards and commission appointments. Is there any, look for any motions for Mr. City Attorney?
With regard to
Somebody hit him on.
with regard to item 2A, I understand that that particular applicant is not a resident of the city. And with regard to municipal code section 10-24, with regard to an applicant who's not a resident of the city, prior to any approval of the appointment, the common council has to determine by a majority vote that the individual appointee has an expertise, experience, education, position, or representation preferred by the common council for assistance to the Parks Commission, and that such non-resident appointment is in the best interests of the city. So that motion would be required prior to any approval on that particular item.
I would make that motion.
I would second that.
So we've got a first and a second. Let's do a roll call on that.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Assam.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hofer.
Aye.
6 ayes on those, motion carries. Returning back to the rest of the appointments. Any cause for independent action? If not, is there a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion to approve all.
Second.
A first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Hopefer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Okay, 6 ayes on those, motion carries. Item number 3 there, mayoral appointment of Weed Commissioner Gene Nineman as Weed Commissioner for the calendar year of 2024 at a weed cutting fee of $90 an hour. Is there any motion on this?
Move to approved. Second.
First and second. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hopefer.
Aye.
6 ayes on those, motion carries. Under F, there's no letters and petitions. Going up to G1. G1, I'll talk very slow as you approach. If someone could please give Ms. Nelson, no relation, a microphone. Make sure it is operable.
Hello.
Just bring it close in.
You got
Like it's karaoke night, just bring it in.
Sounds good.
And then please state your name and business address for the record, please.
Certainly. My name is Laura Nelson. Business address would now be 648 North Plankinton Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53203. That's with Visit Milwaukee. I have multiple hats that I'm wearing right now.
Just wear that hat. Thank you. And this
Perfect.
is for item G1 is a recap of the Enchant Christmas event. So if you could give us a brief overview, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little background on the data. The data was provided based on cell phone data collection and then also ticketed sales, proprietary information that was provided to Visit Milwaukee by Rock Ventures and Enchant Christmas. So that is how the information was placed into the economic impact calculator. The calculator is a tool of Destinations International and Tourism Economics, which is a business of Oxford Economics. So it's one of the most widely used tools around the world to determine economic impact of different events. So it utilizes information judging spend on lodging, transportation, food and beverage, retail, and recreation. So those were all the areas that are studied with the spending patterns and obviously consideration of the data given. And with all of those things considered, I'm proud to say that Enchant Christmas provided a total economic impact of $57,656,317 for the area. It supported 2,739 jobs, and then it produced approximately $2.7 million in local taxes, meaning throughout Milwaukee County. So those are the stats that were provided based on the report. The full report was given to Enchant Christmas, and it's up to them if they want to share more information, but Visit Milwaukee is confident sharing those statistics with their approval.
Thank you. Now we'll open up to the alders. Alderwoman Eichman.
Hi, Laura. Thank you for being here tonight. Can you please repeat, did you have the amount of people that walk through approximately?
Yes, I do, but in speaking with Enchant Christmas, they wanted to keep proprietary information exactly to themselves, or they want to report it themselves. So it wouldn't be my position to do that within this role. I believe I did mention it in a previous one, so it is on record, like immediately following the event. But I can look into getting official approval on like ticketed sales and turnstile walkthroughs and produce that if that's something that they're okay with.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was one thing you did go on record and state, and I think that was an estimation, and we definitely would like to know, the crowd size that went through. I know it was in excess of 150,000, and I think to, agree with some of the members of the neighbors that live there that there were no issues. We went through on a couple of the events that were hosted. It was a wonderful event and very well attended. Alderwoman Day.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, Laura. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
And some of these you may not be able to answer, which is fine. I understand that you may not have the answers right now. But if possible, if we could get them in some way, shape, or form, or you could relay my questions to the Enchant folks. When you referenced the $57 million that were spent in the area, is the area Milwaukee County?
So yes, it's Milwaukee County, and based on the data, they have zip codes based on credit card information and cell phone data. So they tracked, by they, I mean the calculator takes that information and processes it. So they have a reasonable amount of information of where people came from and where they went afterward.
Okay.
So their travel patterns, if they were staying the night, if they attended another event in the area, if they were there on vacation, if they dined, you know, that sort of thing. So based on their cell phone patterns, they basically placed all that information into the calculator in order to provide the best estimate.
Okay, thank you, that helps. And then going along with Alderwoman Eichmann's questions, total attendance, but if we could also get maybe just an idea of like when the peak attendance was, you know, I'm assuming probably right around those two like holiday weekends. If we could just know the throughput on like the heaviest traffic day, just so we know for future endeavors if this event comes back for us to review again for future years, just so we can have an idea of what the throughput looked like on the most traveled days. That would be helpful.
Absolutely. I feel like, you know, just my opinion would be that they'd be eager to share that information because they consider it a very successful, you know, achievement with regard to how many people they were able to successfully get in and out, you know, traffic patterns, parking, you know, and keeping the noise levels down with that many people on the campus. So I would imagine they'd be happy to provide that information. I'll be sure to relay that.
Okay. And my last question, and I'm 100% certain that you do not have this information, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You spoke of the economic impact to the area. I am very curious, given other conversations we're going to have tonight, of the profit that Ballpark Commons received from this event and how much money they actually made and or didn't make on the event, because that's an important number that we as a council need moving forward. So if you could relay that, I'm sure you don't have that information or
Correct, I do
the
not.
privy to relay it if you do, but if you could also relay that question to the appropriate parties, I would appreciate it.
Certainly. So just to review, we'd like to relay the questions on total attendance, peak attendance, or anything of note with regard to, you know, those high times, low times, et cetera. And then, of course, the profit question.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Craig, then go back to Alderwoman Eichmann.
Going to, since we're taking notepad about everything, I'm curious as to the impact that the change of the ordinance to allow the continuous run and how much that kind of benefited, or is it something where certain periods of time really were the concentration of effort? If it was, you know, where a random Tuesday in that 2-week run at the very end, if that was not if it wasn't a very highly trafficked time frame, or was that something where we saw that continuous sort of plateau all the way through, and then just the spikes during like the Christmas weekend and Thanksgiving weekend and things like that? Or was it, like I said, more of just kind of a flat, you know, consistently banking X amount of patrons through the gate during that time frame?
Right. I can speak on that anecdotally, at least, based on conversations that I've had with our hotel partners and hospitality partners. I know that they were thrilled that that Random Tuesdays included, right? Because it's a day that you can get somebody out of their house or to travel to the area that they otherwise normally wouldn't. Now, with regard to the data on, you know, what the traffic pattern was, of course, we can look into that and we can report back. But I do know that what they utilized a lot of the consistency for, namely that anything over 4 days, right? What they used that for was to play with the ticket sales and ensure that anybody who couldn't get in during those higher traffic times, if they had to pare that down due to parking, you know, weather concerns, whatever it was, if they needed to bring the ticketing down, that those ticket holders would have a place to go, you know, because if you just did it during the peak times, that would create traffic flow issues. So they utilize that as a tool to keep things at bay.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll request more information on that.
Great. Thank you.
Alderwoman Eichmann.
Thank you, Mayor. Laura, do you know if all local motels were full due to people traveling into Milwaukee for Enchant? Do you
I
have
don't-
feedback on that from?
Yes, I do. So I know that in one of the properties I spoke with, that normally Q4 is a dismal time, and they were running 80%. So,
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah.
And then, I don't want to put you on the spot with this, but popular question, has there been talk of Enchant coming back this December?
I haven't been a part of any of those conversations, so if they happen, it's not with me at the table. But I would imagine right now would be the time to have those conversations. I can say anecdotally that I have asked, and I've received an answer that they were thrilled with how it went and that they thought it provided something wonderful for the community. So the want is there. But that's all I can speak to.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I yield.
Alderman Holfer.
Thank you. Early on, there was some discussion that you had mentioned, a lot of the advertising said Milwaukee, but some of the advertising had the byline of Franklin. Was there any further breakdown of how much press was done with the byline of Franklin?
So to delineate where it said just Enchant Milwaukee or Enchant Milwaukee at Franklin Field, like to kind of see how much spend was given to each of those avenues. I don't have that information, but I can certainly ask for it.
And
I know that where, for my passion for Franklin tourism, I know that I requested very specifically to include Franklin Field whenever possible. So it says Enchant Milwaukee at Franklin Field. From the point that I made that point forward, anything that was under their control.
And then do we have access to not just the local hotels, but do we have a handle, or does somebody have a handle on how many people actually traveled far enough distance to spend the night?
So yes, all that data was included in the Oxford Economics model, so to speak. So I am not as smart as the algorithms, so I can't necessarily spit out the data specifically, but I do know that all the data that was collected from the cell phones and from the zip codes of the credit cards was all taken into consideration, and those places of business included hotels. So I do know that when these large numbers were cranked out, that it had a heavy consideration for which one of those people swiped their credit card at a hotel or came from a zip code that would be more than, a day trip. Hopefully that helped.
I understand the desire to keep the proprietary information quiet, but whatever detailed information that could be provided to the Franklin Tourism Commission would be greatly appreciated in a hard copy.
Absolutely. Well, and I don't know if it's a forever proprietary thing. I just know that in this particular instance, I was asked to report out on just the full stats of economic impact that were produced by Visit Milwaukee. I can't say that there is a plan to hold that to themselves for the whole time. Maybe the timing just wasn't right for them.
Okay, and then I'd just like to add thank you for all your efforts. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
I'm done.
Thank you very much for coming tonight.
You're welcome.
You always present well, and I know there's a few questions to be answered, but thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Happy to be
This-
here. Thanks.
No further action on this, going to item G2. And I would ask that Mr. Berger and even Ann come up. I'll speak very slowly on this one while we get set up. A resolution authorizing external officials to execute a service agreement with BCI Entertainment LLC to provide a Northern Lights drone show on July 5th, 2024 as part of the 2024 Independence Celebration, and upon new information that West Loomis Road will not be allowed for the city's annual Independence Celebration Parade due to ongoing construction at that time. A request for Common Council approval of the new Independence Celebration Parade route, and which may provide for meet and stage in the Forest Park Middle School parking lot and the Children's Parade at the Education District Center at those school premises, with the parades proceeding north on Forest Meadows Drive to West Drexel Avenue, and then proceeding west to and primarily concluding at Franklin Fire Station Number 1 at 8901 West Drexel Avenue, or such other route as the Common Council determines to be reasonable and appropriate. Mr. Bergner, good evening and welcome. Just please your name and address for the record, please.
I am John Bergner. I live at 8501 Parkland Drive. I am the chairman of the Franklin Civic Celebration Committee. I'm here to get authorization to sign a contract for a Northern Lights drone show to be presented on Saturday night, July 5th. Our festival is going on, for people to know, from July 3rd. That's a Wednesday night until Saturday night, July 6th. So if you got any other questions?
Well, there's
Yeah,
be a few.
Michelle.
Mr. Bergner, first of all, thank you for what you do and all the effort you and your team is. And Ann didn't come up here, okay? Oh, no.
She'll come up with the highway.
Oh. All right, Alderwoman Eichmann.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, John. Thanks for being
Hi.
here and all the work that is instilled to putting together wonderful 4th of July celebration. I have several questions this evening, and especially this being in my district. I first wanted to start with the parade change. This is the first that I'm hearing of it. And my concern is that the neighbors along the new parade route for this year have not yet been notified. In Franklin, because the parade draws in so many people, people tend to put their lawn chairs out, days in advance and so forth. So they're going to be putting lawn chairs out in the front, whether it's the easement or not, of all of these homes along this new parade route. Some of these residents may not be real happy with that. Some of these residents may host annual 4th of July celebrations where now their family and friends cannot get through to their home because this is the parade route. Residents can't get in and out of their houses. My concern is that this has not at all been run past my constituents in this area. Of course, I understand it can't be down Loomis Road and there is no perfect solution with this, but there may be some people that aren't real happy about this. There may be some that are real thrilled. I once upon a time lived on a parade route in Greendale, and my backyard was Broad Street, and that was great, but not everyone may feel that way. So I do have concerns about that, seeing this for the first time tonight of a change of the route. Also, for the drone show, it's my understanding it's $9,000 for a 15-minute show.
Yes.
Okay. And we have one rain date, and the rain date is established, which I think is good. But if it rains on the date of the original drone show, then we're down to a 12-minute drone show for $9,000.
Yes.
Okay. Also, what band is playing that night during the drone show? Will the band be stopping for this drone show?
For the scheduled Friday night, yes, the band will be stopping for the show, just like we have the band stop for the fireworks.
So we're paying the band for the full time. Obviously, they can take a break during that 15 minutes, which would probably work out well. For the drone show, I guess, where do they come from, or what kind of history do you have on them? Have they performed a drone show in other municipalities, or just that ticket price of $9,000 for a 15-minute show is rather alarming to me.
Yes. Actually, that's a deal. Actually, they're getting from $12,000 to $15,000 for their shows. They're just coming into this area. They did the Fox Lake area. They've done mostly southeast Wisconsin. The coordinator is actually located in Greenfield, Wisconsin, and they do shows in Caledonia in the summertime on Wednesday nights and Saturday nights. And they do these at the Yogi Bear site but that'll start in May. So you can observe what it's like. And this is 100 drones. And some of their shows, they can go up to 200 drones. They are booked now to do Oak Creek night outs. So they are giving us a special price because they want to get in the area and they want to present it. And, that's why we're looking at, $9,000.
I'll yield for now, Mayor. Thank you.
And the other thing to explain is why they can only do less time is they're already booked now for a Saturday for that other night, and they have less drones available.
Thank you.
Before we go, Mr. Hofer, could we bring Ann up here with a chair just so we can put her right here because there's going to be some questions that are going to be going.
Yeah.
Thank you. Come here. We're good. Thank you, John, though. All right, as Ann gets settled, Alderman Holfer.
Thank you, John. Just as a point of reference, what is the budget for the fireworks this year?
The budget's $30,000, and that's what the contract's for.
And the time that show takes is about the same?
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
So just for point of comparison.
And that's what we spent last year for the show. And
thank you.
It's wonderful. Alderwoman Day.
Thank you. I have two questions, one for each of you. So for the fireworks, let's say on July 4th it's raining. When is the rain date for the fireworks? Or would we not?
That's July 5th then.
Okay.
No,
And then what
July 6th, the Saturday night.
So we're accounting for that we wouldn't be double booking fireworks and drone at the same time if there was a rain out on the 4th for the fireworks.
That could happen. That could
Okay.
happen, and we can make it so the drone show goes on, and then the fireworks might have to, follow it, if we have to do them both in one night. We've had one rain out in my 30 years of the fireworks. So,
Sure.
but
I
it
just-
can happen.
Right,
when
I
you're-
I just wanted to make sure we were thinking far enough in advance to try to offset that if possible.
Yeah.
Not have them both occur on the same night if possible. Okay.
And a drone show, if they can't, and if anything, we would delay the drone show to maybe another activity, like maybe even the Franklin Night Out or to the next year. So they're willing to adjust.
And then where would they launch from? There's a lot of specific.
Same area as the fireworks.
As the fireworks, okay.
Yep.
Great. And then for Ann, for the parade route, the only question that I have is parking, just for spectators for it, where they would be kind of funneled for parking, if it would be, the other side streets or the middle school parking lot, just, taking into account that, as Alderman Eichman said, the number of people that come for the parade, kind of where would all of those cars go?
And if you could just state your name and address and bring it close to you.
Anna Demsky, 7825 Stonebrook Court. We're going to have the same parking lots that we've always had. Right off of Drexel, we use MaxSAS, we use US Bank, we use the other facilities. I don't think it's going to be an issue for parking wise, because we're also going to have then Forest Park for parking. So we'll have that additional parking in the back. It will be much easier for participants and units to get in, to get to us. With the whole thing came up with the Loomis Road, with our meeting yesterday, as we had a couple of the officers came in and they're quite concerned. We need to have some type of a backup plan in case something happens. You don't want to wait until June 1st and say, okay, oh yeah, it's not going to be done. Let's start shifting everybody around. They need to staff people. They need to have their security done. DPW has to have their security. And we have to tell these people where they're going. So it's kind of like having a backup plan is why we're doing it. If somebody can tell me, hey, we're going to be fine, we're going to have it anyway, we're going to go on Loomis Road, I have no problem. But we got to have something.
Yeah, no, I appreciate all the planning and work that you all are doing. Thank you.
Alderman Eichman.
Thank you. I like hearing that that's the backup plan, that Loomis Road is still a possibility in a perfect world. My concern is for the residences along this backup plan of a parade route. Has it been discussed with the fire chief who is here and the police chief? Heaven forbid if there's a medical emergency during the parade, how is a fire truck or an ambulance going to effectively, in a timely manner, get to one of the many houses along this parade route?
Exactly. Well, the fire truck's going to be there, first of all. We have not, obviously, the police department took it into consideration because they helped us with, or they came up with the route and thought it would be the most feasible and secure. Ed and I were speaking yesterday, and we would go through and either go door to door or start putting things out, telling people ahead of time so they can plan now versus July 1st. They're like, oh God, we got a parade coming through. We got to tell our guests and do whatever else. I guess if somebody can tell me at this point that we're going to be okay and we're going to get a permit and we're going to be able to be on Loomis Road, then we don't have an issue.
So right now, the plan is to have it on Loomis Road. Again, this is just a backup plan if the construction is not done on Loomis Road. If the construction is complete on Loomis Road, the parade will be on Loomis Road as always.
Well, but the backup plan has to be determined within the next couple weeks. We can't wait that long. We can't wait until May. We would have to know at least, what I thought was to bring it up now is because the newsletter is going out. And so that people have some point of reference. We can't always work on social media because people don't have that. The whole city isn't on that. So at least we've got the newsletter. They can go out and they can read it and say, oh, this is going on.
Right. Many in the city of Franklin aren't on the Franklin area community page, as I know, in fact. So that's not a good source. But our city website could provide information.
That is
and,
true.
for all those that aren't on social media in general.
True.
Is a point of reference.
Right.
If there's something in the newsletter could state that there could be possibly a change, or I'm not sure the verbiage you'd want on that. But it would be sad if Loomis Road got done. We've got a beautiful new state highway paved and in a perfect world, and then we don't have the parade down it.
Exactly.
You know, I know it's a difficult situation and it's
Yeah.
put you in a unique situation with this,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
with
And-
that, I'll yield. Thank you.
Mr. City Engineer.
So as a matter of perspective, so DOT's been working on this project for a few years. And through the process, staff, myself included, have mentioned to their staff that, hey, we've got this parade every year. And for whatever reason, that was not seen as a priority in their specs. So they did not include that in the general conditions for the contractor. And this came up Wednesday. We had a pre-construction meeting. It was a Teams call. And so we were on the meeting and going through everything. And I made the mention that, you know, I haven't heard any discussion on accommodations for our parade. Contractors, what parade? So we had the discussion there. And so the contractor said, based on his schedule, he was anticipating to be done by July 4th, but he couldn't guarantee it. And then he said, well, let me think about it for a little bit and see if I can rearrange some things. So this project is more than just Franklin. It starts at St. Martin's and goes all the way almost up to Layton. And so there's been $12.5 million replacing culverts and do some other things. Contractor's trying to think if maybe he can shuffle some of the components around to leave us alone or make sure that he's done in time. So I don't know the answer to that, so I appreciate the backup plan, but I wouldn't freak everybody out yet, but it's good to have a backup plan. So
Alderman Barber.
So would this be a two-part motion then, as stated on the revised sheet and then the original council action sheet? There would be
Yes.
two motions that I'd like to make to change the route and to execute the service agreement.
Well, we've got a motion.
A second.
We have a
Wait.
second, and there'll be further discussion.
My question, I guess, and for the city attorney, wouldn't that motion?
Alderwoman Eichman.
Thank you. Wouldn't that be as a backup plan? We're not permanently changing the parade route. And as the city engineer just said, why throw out confusion and, you know, could the motion state possibly that as a backup plan, the parade route may change? Because if we make the motion that the parade route's going to be what's in here, that's set for the parade route and it cannot be down Highway 36, Loomis Road.
Is that your motion, Mr. Barber?
A motion to authorize a possible change with a backup plan.
I'll second that.
Oh, it was seconded by Alderman Hassan. The further discussions, we've got a first and a second. We're going to go to roll call vote with this. Hold on, there's two things. So first of all, thank you both for, I think this is a thankless job, and we know that if we change a route that's been in effect for 50 years, and all of a sudden that day comes, it's sunny, it's 75 degrees, and Loomis Road is wonderful and done, it's not going to bode well. And then, you know, and I agree with everyone out here that we do have to have a plan. We all know, and this is not a cut on the state, but sometimes these projects get delayed and they could have nothing going. And I just want to make sure that we have that option. And if the city engineer is on this to make sure that if this, you know, construction outfit can give us more of a definite plan that we can keep it on Loomis, that would be absolutely the way to go. And I think we all agree that, but we just want to make sure that there is a safe second alternate with the emphasis on safe to make sure that the citizens, everybody's there is protected, and the blockades and the ends and everything else that we do to ensure the safety for our citizens and participants. So we've got a first and a second further discussion, Alderwoman Eichman and then Alderman Holfer.
So just for clarification, the verbiage in the city newsletter won't state that this is the parade route, correct? I just want to be clear that we're not confusing residents. I would encourage residents to check our city website. Lisa's great with our city website, updating it and so forth. I think it's important to note that, but to put that confusion out there.
Right.
And especially before I can contact any of my constituents along this parade route. And I would prefer that the verbiage states, you know, it somewhat explains the construction on Loomis Road in case there's a few that aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
And that this is a possible backup plan, as the motion states, just for clarification.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We can do that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Alderman Holfer and then Finance Director Brown.
I just want to ensure that if it gets to a point where it looks like this is going to be the route, the alternate, that all of the individual residents on the affected route have direct contact from the city. Whether that's a mailing, whether we need to have a neighborhood meeting, I think that would be critical.
I think a mailing is more effective. You still got the floor.
I yield.
Okay, Director, then Glenn. Unless
I-
you want to yield to Glenn.
Glenn can go, sure.
So I just want to let everybody know that there is going to be DOT is having a public information meeting with the contractor because they have selected a contractor. So this would be on April the 23rd. It's a Tuesday night. I believe it's at the library, and I believe it's from 5 to 7. But check your sources, and this would be an opportunity to show up and talk face-to-face with DOT and face-to-face with the contractor and find out from the contractor what they do intend or not intend to do.
Thank you for that information. Director?
Okay, so I just want to state one comment and one concern. And so my one comment is by approving the drone contract, it does state on the fiscal note that there isn't enough money in the budget allocated for this. So I just want to know that this is for sure going forward and that I will have to bring forward a budget amendment, which will then require me to look further and probably meet with Mr. Bergner about where the additional funds are going to come from. I know that it states that there may be some additional donations and stuff coming in, so just making sure that we have that. But then my concern would be that the 2023 actual expenses were $113,000 for a 3-day event, but this 4-day event is only requested $110,000. So just making sure that we're going to stay within the budget with the budget amendment coming forward for additional funds.
Yeah, I'll mention that with the entertainment, $30,000 was budgeted, plus the $3,000 miscellaneous. If we add what I've already booked, plus the drone show, I'm within about $2,000 of what was budgeted. So that includes the drone show. But we're also want to make it known that if we get, we're looking for sponsors, the drone show will advertise with the drones, the corporations that will sponsor it. So that's in our donation letter coming out. So we're looking for at least 3 sponsors, and each one, if they give $3,000 each, would pay for the drone show.
Yeah, so we'll
Under the budget.
right. So we'll just have to create a budget amendment allowing for that allocation, but we will have that revenue coming in hopefully from the sponsors. So I'll bring that forward.
Thank you. Alderwoman Eichmann.
Thank you, Mayor. The dates for the civic celebrations, celebration dates, Wednesday, July 3rd, Thursday, July 4th, Friday, July 5th, Saturday, July 6th. I've heard some chatter out there that it's also going to continue Sunday, July 7th is a partial celebration, but that date is not listed on here.
As far as July 7th is only going to be the carnival rides will be doing from noon to 4 wristbands. So they have a separate operation that goes on. We will actually be tearing down the tents, the setup and everything on that Sunday. So the only thing that'll be going on is a carnival from noon to 4 wristband day.
With that, will the, per se, porta potties still be
Yeah,
on site?
they're there till Monday.
Okay,
Yeah.
and any food or beverage vendors, will they be?
We will not be selling beverages out of the main tent area, but there's beverages that'll be sold by the carnival people.
Okay, that's wonderful. Because
Yep.
my concern is if it's a 90-degree hot day.
Yeah.
And somebody wants a bottle of water per se, so will that be included in the publication and the advertising for the event to include that Sunday, July 7th, so people actually know about it to attend?
Yes, it is.
Because that's, all right, because again, it's
It'll
not
be
in
on the
our
schedule,
packet
yeah.
for that date at all.
Okay.
Thank you. With that, I'll yield.
Thank you. So we had any further discussion? We had a first and a second. If there'd be a roll call vote on this, please.
Excuse me, Alderman Holfer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichmann.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
6 ayes on those, motion carries. Thank you again very much for all your hard work. G3, request common council approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Milwaukee, which would allow for reimbursement of wages by the federal government for fire department personnel assisting in the emergency services staffing for the Republican National Convention.
So move.
Second.
We have a first, Chief, please come up here. I do have some questions. We have a first and a second. On the discussion part of it, so I was at a meeting today. The Racine County Law Enforcement Executive Association met, and a question was brought up about workers' compensation. And that there's, and this I would also put this to the police chief, who was in attendance as well, about the wages and benefits that we're charging for reimbursement, but then the organization is saying at this point that, and I guess there was some clarification coming out today, that, well, if we're gonna pay you, the workers' compensation is gonna be on the city's responsibility. So firefighters, police officers get hurt at this event, it's on us because they're paying the fully loaded wage. And if you've got something to comment, or if the police chief could entertain up here for a minute, or if it's still out for discussion, because that meeting was today at noon and there was not a definitive answer on that. But that's a big one, that if somebody gets injured, which could happen easily.
From the fire perspective, our shared services agreement that we operate on a daily basis, it states just that, is that the departments will aid each other back and forth, but we will take care of our own personnel if they would sustain an injury. If we were outside of the city fighting a fire, one of our folks sustained an injury, they're our responsibility, we take care of them. So that's kind of how our shared services and also the statewide mutual aid box alarm system, the MABUS agreement reads. So from the fire world, that's something that we're kind of used to operating under. But I'll turn it over to Chief Learman. That's my understanding as well, is that our personnel that we would provide, although we would be getting reimbursement for their base wage and their additional benefits, their fringe benefits, we would be they would be covered under our insurance if an injury was sustained.
Thank you. Chief Learman, good evening and welcome.
Hello. That is my understanding as well, that you have it correct, that they are reimbursing us for all the wages, benefits, and if there was an injury, it would be on our workman's comp.
Okay. Discussion on this? Alderwoman Eichmann.
Thank you, Mayor. For all of those here and those listening at home, I just wanted to point out that by participating in this, it's stated in our packet that it is not taken away from any services in the city of Franklin as far as police or fire. So we will be fully staffed for police and fire during this convention. This is outside of that. It's not going to affect city staffing whatsoever. So I think it's just, good to point that out for clarification for residents and so forth. So I just wanted to state that. With that, I'll yield. Thank you.
Excellent point. Alderwoman Day.
Thank you. So I have a little bit of experience planning for this a few years ago. Do you know offhand with what they're asking of both of your departments? Is it primarily the thought that you would be backfilling for the city of Milwaukee for them having to be on site for the RNC activities? So you would be like kind of backfilling for their like normal day-to-day calls that they would receive, or would our staff be going into the RNC and working those events?
From the fire perspective, we recently had a briefing, the Milwaukee County Association of Fire Chiefs. The information is where it was previously a trickle of information. It is now, we're getting tons of information now as plans are coming together. And from what we have been advised is that our personnel who would volunteer to assist would be assigned to one of the two zones in the general area of the convention, the hard zone being the fenced-in area directly around the event, and then the, I guess the warm zone, it would be outside the event. There's going to be, there's planned to be resources as far as vehicles and equipment there, and our folks would be just bringing their protective gear, their personal protective equipment, their gear, and going into that area for a 12-hour shift. Working with firefighters and paramedics from other county departments, not only the city of Milwaukee, who the city of Milwaukee has canceled all their off time for all their people. So they will have, be at a very high strength. Initially, it was talked about backfilling stations throughout the region. It seems like that is less of a focus now, and the discussion was credentialing, security credentialing all of our people, so that no matter who would be needed, if someone would lay up sick or not be able to respond, all of our personnel would be credentialed to be able to fill any of those roles. So they would potentially be in the area of the convention.
Alderwoman Eichman?
Thank you, Mayor. I imagine several surrounding municipalities are also going to be a part of this. Is that correct? And those that we do mutual aid with, such as Greenfield, Greendale Hills Corners, Oak Creek, they're all a part of this as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we've got a first and a second. Could there be a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Holfer.
Aye.
Excellent. 6 ayes, no noes. Motion carries. Item G4, approval of intergovernmental agreement for law enforcement services for the 2024 Republican National Convention.
I'll make the motion.
Hassan and Eichman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Hassan. G5, authorization for the Department of Public Works to purchase a 2023 Chevrolet Silverado LT 5500 medium-duty pickup truck with salter and plow attachments. Who's taking this one?
You said it all. Looking to buy a truck with
Motion
equipment
to
for plow.
approve.
Good.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Oh.
Oh,
Discussion.
I just have a question for the city engineer. Is this a new vehicle or is this replacing one of our fleet that we already have?
Replacement.
New? Okay, so can we just make sure that it's noted that it's out of Fund 41 and not Fund 42 in the motion?
will you please revise your motion to say Fund 42? Is that what you're asking?
No, Fund 41.
41.
All right, just
So
can you
revised.
do-
I'll hold my.
It's not in the motion.
Well,
It is.
we're going to
Oh, sorry, request
Fund.
for my action. Yeah,
40.
41.
oppose, so it'll say 41-0331-5811. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, it's a motion first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. G6 and D6, a resolution imposing conditions and restrictions for the approval of a special use for a self-storage facility use upon property located at 7045 South Lovers Lane, tax key number Acquisition LLC, or DBA Storage Mart applicant. Motion to adopt resolution imposing conditions and restrictions for approval of special use for a self-storage facility use upon property located at 7045 South Lovers Lane. Discussion or motion? Alderwoman Day?
I don't know if there's anything from planning ahead of time, otherwise I will.
Okay, did you want to present, because
I
there's.
mean, he may answer my question, so I
Right,
just-
right, and I guess I'll start with something, is that at Plan, neighbors came, there were a number of, questions that the vendor appeared to have answers for. I will be going there tomorrow to see this myself, because I am just, I really cannot understand why they still have stuff out there. I mean, I thought they can have 3 vehicles, is that true?
That's correct. The
But that's it.
Existing facility to the north is allowed up to 3 vehicles.
So 3 vehicles, that should be it. And I guess that's one of the problems, and I'll soapbox for a minute, is when I was going around that area, there was an old RV out there, there was an ugly pontoon. I mean, it just looked terrible. And then that was sold and a new owner comes in, and we just have to, the aesthetics are in the back part were bad. Front's great, sides, I'm not seeing anything, but that back end, west side was not good. So I'm sorry, Mr. Fuchs, go ahead.
So just a brief background for this project. It is a special use permit request. The Plan Commission did recommend approval at their April 4th meeting, I believe. The Plan Commission also approved a site plan for the development. The use, they're actually going to use the office portion of the existing facility. So this use is just the 2 storage buildings. They're anticipating about 450 storage units. They do have a request in the special use for renting parking spaces for longer term parking of RVs, campers, trailers, things like that. It would have to be in those striped spaces that are on the site plan, which are between the 2 buildings. There's 5 spaces there. The Plan Commission did add a condition to the site plan resolution for a solid fence there and additional screening. So that'll have to be worked through between staff and the applicant. Otherwise, staff is recommending approval. And I can answer specific questions on neighbor comments. I think some may be more appropriate for the applicant to answer as far as the security and type questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fuchs. You still got the floor.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Day.
Thank you. Yeah, so you spoke to a few of my questions, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I also have concerns about the long-term parking. I think, you know, while it might be well-intentioned at the start, I think it's very easy for a vehicle to just then linger and deteriorate and turn into an eyesore and a nuisance. So I do have some concerns about that, even within that delineated parking area. Also, the picture, I think, says 1,000 words that what was shown of the light pollution coming through into the backyard. I think we need to figure out a way to address that, whether it is with extra trees that maybe, you know, are year-round full, so that in the winter they don't drop all their leaves and all of a sudden you can see through, or a taller fence or something, or change the lighting pattern. But that does seem excessive coming into someone's backyard. And then also if somebody could address the concerns about the potential for the flooding with the removal of additional foliage in that area. That's it. Thank you.
Alderwoman Eichman and Alderman Holfer.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things I want to mention. One important factor in Franklin that I just want to mention is the luxurious apartments that we have in Franklin. I'm thinking of 3 in particular, one that's in my district. They have very, very little storage space. As I've toured these facilities, incredibly little storage space. I mean, basically nothing. And usually the luxurious apartments, you're allowed maximum, to my understanding, this may not be for all, 2 spots, 1 underground, maybe 1 outside. So if you're a married couple and you have a teenage son who's driving, sometimes there's the need for that extra storage. But I just wanted to point out that, and I personally know people that reside in these luxurious apartments in Franklin that have to rent storage units because there is very much lack of anywhere to store anything, holiday decorations, you name it, kids' toys. So I wanted to point that out. As far as the lights, I mean, that picture did speak volumes, and thank you for bringing that in. Is there something that could be done to the lights, such as what The Rock did for the residents in the H section of Greendale, where they could put a filter or something over the lights? I mean, we're hearing that people are concerned about security, and I think, okay, having a well-lit area brings a sense of security and so forth, but I mean, that is a little excessive, or, you know, and I mean, and I have more things to add to that, but is the applicant here is what I wanted to ask first off.
Yes.
I mean, should the applicant be up here answering? Or
Yes,
you-
please.
The applicant is here. I can know just as far as the lighting and reviewing this project. So the pictures of the project to the north, the existing, which has a drive that wraps around the building. So I believe there's then lighting on the west side of that building. For this development, there is not a drive behind the buildings on the west side. So the lighting is building lighting that's not facing, it's all interior to the development. It's not facing those residents. So this facility should not have that same impact that the existing to the north has.
Thank you. And are there going to be, obviously, I would hope, security cameras throughout? And how would they be monitored and how often?
Sir, and if you could, just for the record, state your name and business address and address everything up here. And
I'll try to
I'm
remember
messing
it
with
this
you.
time,
I'm
sorry.
messing with you. No. Good evening and welcome.
Okay, thank you. Wyan Burnham, Storage Mart, 215 North Stadium Boulevard, Suite 215, Columbia, Missouri, 65203. I'll start with security. We do have cameras. They are recorded, but I will tell you, they're not really needed. We have very few incidences of theft and break-in. We can show you all the instances over the last few years. There have been less than 10. And most of those are caused by existing tenants, not by people breaking in and doing any damage. I haven't pulled the police reports. I know that was something that was suggested, and I apologize. I haven't had time to do that yet. But we certainly can do that. But our product is really not theft prone. I know there's a vision out there that maybe says otherwise, but we really don't have much of a problem with security. So our security is directed at access control, is how I would call that. So that's all of our customers get a access code to access into the property, and that's how we control security and theft on site. Plus, each of the doors are individually locked. So you are the only person that has access to it. I don't have it. Staff doesn't have access to your stuff. So those are the two most prominent and most common uses of deterrent in our industry, and they're consistent everywhere that we operate in 3 countries.
I wanted to add with that, I feel security cameras, asking for them is not a big ask. I almost think it should be mandatory. Residential houses and properties throughout Franklin several times have been encouraged to have cameras outside their homes. I can't tell you the amount of times a particular family member of mine who has a very nice vehicle outside where someone's approached it in the middle of the night to check the doors to make sure they're locked. There's multiple vehicles stolen in Franklin and surrounding municipalities. Unfortunately, it's just the way of the world. Several are because a homeowner, sometimes leaves their keys in a vehicle and so forth. Sometimes there's not. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but to have security cameras and have some footage that if it needed, that it could be provided to the Franklin Police Department, I think that's really important.
I appreciate that concern, and we do operate in 3 countries, downtown Manhattan, downtown Oakland. There will be cameras on this site. Don't get me wrong. The thing that we found is that they're not really usable after the fact. We have solved 0 crimes with them. There's not facial recognition. We don't know everybody that's coming on site. We have customers. You might give your code to your husband. He's not on the lease. We don't have him. So it's really hard to do anything with the footage. And in fact, in many municipalities, the police won't use the camera footage in a court of law. So it's really hard for us to justify having a beefed up security system when there, A, aren't incidences, and B, it's inadmissible in a lot of cases.
Okay, I personally disagree with that. There has been times where the Franklin Police Department has seen footage from residential homes and has helped capture, I'm thinking of one particular area in District 5, where because of the footage that was provided to the Franklin Police Department, they were able to catch those that were going around trying to access vehicles. So that was indeed a very useful tool for the Franklin Police Department. So I disagree with that. I'm sorry, but.
Sure. Again, we operate in 3 countries. We have to be systematic. We have to do things that meet the standard across all of the protocol and react to actual incidences, not the fear of them. So when incidences occur, then we absolutely react. And there are places where we have beefed up security, where it might be security patrols when incidences occur, but not as a regular matter of course of action, because they're just, there aren't enough things happening to justify doing that extra work.
I'm not asking for security control. I'm asking for security cameras to be placed throughout.
And I said they will have them.
They will have
Okay.
them, Alderwoman.
Thank you.
Alderman Holfer.
Thank you. In general, I don't have a problem with the use, but listening to the comments tonight, and I think the mayor said he's going out there and he's got
Tomorrow.
some questions. My preference would be to table this item until we can have some of these issues addressed and get confirmation and make sure we have a clear understanding if there's violations, what the next step is going to be. So
I would second that.
We have a first and a second to table. There was a little further discussion. If you could, please.
Make a comment.
Thank you. So you've heard the concerns, some more concerns. You heard the same ones at the plan. Now we have a few more concerns tonight. And I know the lighting, that they had those shades on the side. It's not dimming the lights themselves, but it's preventing it from protracting out. That was one big one. We definitely want to make sure, as the other woman was concerned about the cameras, that they are an operating, up and operating system, which is great. And the vehicles outside. That is like the big pet peeve and the big thing, because I've been at those wonderful condominiums, and not saying you, since you've been there, but it has to be addressed. Has to be addressed.
Sure.
Alderman Barber.
Have you met with the residents?
So I was here at the public hearing 2 weeks ago, and at that time I passed out about 30 cards offering myself up via email, cell phone. I'm not local, so I can't participate in person, but for them to reach out to me at any time they wanted. I further offered to provide our local operations team's contact, both to the neighborhoods as well as the city council people. I know there was some comment about previous sort of violation comments being made to our team, and that never came to our home office. The first time we were aware of the violation of the parking is when we got the notice from the city. We reacted right away. And I will say that we do have a policy in place that we confirmed it is 3. For some reason, we thought it was 6, but it's 3. We checked our zoning. That's what our rental plan shows. I can print that out and prove it to you if you need to.
3 is 3 is
3 is what's allowed by zoning, I believe. And I don't believe it limits it to not having RVs or boats or trailers. It just says overnight parking. So what we do have is a policy that you have to have a licensed, operable, and insured vehicle to park with us. We check that every lease and person that parks on site. So in the rare instance that someone is there for a long time and that does have rust or tires that deflate or things like that, which can happen over time, we send them notice and they either get evicted or they have to come remove their car. That's our policy.
We have had in the past a situation that we didn't do due diligence on, and it's come back to hurt us and bite us along the way. And I just want to make sure that you are doing that due diligence. I suggest you contact the homeowner association, possibly set up a meeting, get the, answer their questions in writing so that the council can hear that back. In fact, this probably will be tabled this evening, but that's what I'd be looking for. My other question is it true that you have not had any of these facilities this close to a residential area?
No, we have facilities that butt up to residential all over in 3 countries. So we own 16 in Milwaukee right now. We have 290 in 3 countries right now. We absolutely participate next to residential. And to your point, people don't want to have to drive very far from their house. It's better on the infrastructure of a community. It's better on the users. They don't want to have to drive, and ultimately better for the environment, not having to travel such a far distance. So where we can accommodate it, it's always better to put our facilities in proximity to our users. And what we're talking about here is how do we accommodate those concerns? And if I could have a minute, because these concerns, you weren't privy to that maybe in the last meeting, but the majority of these are addressed actually in our site plan, in our lighting plan, in our parking plan. So I could briefly go through those, but if there's no need to, and it's better to follow up in writing, I'm certainly happy to do that if that's a better course of action.
I'm more concerned about the good neighbor image and how you're going to react to the neighbors.
Sure.
That I'd like to see happen as well. Not that you're covered with some document in a closed session or a little comment back over this way. We've got some real issues with some people here that are concerned. I've not seen these many people come forward for a while over one issue like this, and I'd like to see them be given the due respect that they deserve and have you address them.
Sure, and I guess if I could ask, is it just a written response to those concerns? Maybe I could I don't want to have to come back again and feel like I haven't met the expectation of the board here. So if this is going to be tabled, I guess, could I ask what specifically do you want me to do in order to assuage or make that
One thing
right for you?
To meet with the homeowner association.
Okay, just,
Hear what they have to say.
okay, separate from these meetings, basically. Okay, sure.
Yield.
Yield.
Before we go to Alderwoman Day, then Alderman Eichman, before we go there, the city gave out about 30 business cards.
Yes.
Was there communication?
Nobody's reached out to me. Since
Nobody's
then.
reached out to you yet? Okay.
Well,
Alderman-
I apologize. No, Alderman, Mr. Craig, yes, reached out to our regional manager, and then I got in touch with him yesterday or the day before. we
Yesterday.
talked. Yeah. So that's the only person that's reached out to me directly that I have phone messages or emails for.
Thank you. Alderwoman Day.
Thank you. I understand that with the site plan, you addressed a lot of the issues that are coming up tonight, and understand that what is in front of us right now is for buildings that don't exist. I think part of what you're hearing and what you're seeing is a result of the existing buildings that are there, and a fear that new buildings will follow that same footprint. And I think, we're talking about the new building, but I also want you to consider what they're saying with regard to the existing buildings that are there, and if there's anything that you can do to alleviate some of the concerns that they have on the buildings that are existing as well. So if you're going to fix those problems for the new buildings with the current site plan as it gets built, I would like you to consider looking at some of the issues that they have with the existing building as well.
Yeah, I mean, the two things that I picked up on the existing site that there was concern about was lighting and parking. And unfortunately, lighting contradicts specifically the desire to have a secure and safe compound. In most every locations, we're encouraged by law enforcement that a well-lit lot is one of the largest deterrent to crime, theft, and vandalism. The fact that our building sits so far back from the property line limits what we can do with properly lighting except off of that building. So I'm certainly happy to put a cutoff light on it, but I also know that our lighting plan is dictated by the city building code. There is a lumen requirement that we have to meet, and if I put cutoffs on that, I will not meet the lighting code for that property. So there's no way to meet both the lighting expectation and the lumen requirement of building code, but I'm happy to do if I can get a variance or something like that, I'm happy to put those cutoff shades on, which forces the light to go straight down. It'll only spread 15 to 20 feet versus all the way to the property line. But again, that violates some of the other local codes and compliance issues.
And I guess my ask for you is just to consider having those conversations with the city, with city staff, and with the homeowners that are impacted behind those existing buildings, and see if there's a compromise that can be reached for those individuals as well.
Sure. Yep.
Mr. City Attorney, then Alderwoman Eichmann.
Perhaps an inquiry should be made to the residents that have attended the meeting as to whether or not a meeting with the property representative would be available within the next week or so, and that the homeowners association would be willing to meet with the individual or company representatives.
Perfect sense. I mean, we can, when this is over, I'm sure if there's a HOA representative here that can help facilitate that, to make it quickly and, listen to concerns and, respond back with solutions. Alderwoman Eichmann.
Thank you, Mayor. On what the attorney just said, with consideration that the applicant has traveled several times into Franklin for these meetings, and thank you for being here, and the fact that you gave out over 30 cards, and from the residents here, if they can hear me, excuse me, I don't think sometimes when people are in the audience, they realize that we can hear pretty much everything, which deteriorates sometimes from our meetings. I've mentioned that in several meetings. I apologize, but we do have a long agenda tonight. It is concerning to me that you handed out over 30 cards and no one emailed you or called you. Would it be reasonable, while I respect Alderman Barber's request, to set up a Zoom meeting so you wouldn't have to travel in yet again, because we will probably need you, I'm assuming, since this is being tabled, at yet another common council meeting? Because if you handed out 30 cards and not one person contacted you, my fear is you may be sitting alone in our Franklin Public Library in a room where no one comes to see you and you flew in for nothing.
Sure.
So I'm wondering if something via Zoom could possibly be set up. With that, I'll yield.
It's up to them. It's what are you gonna do to be a good neighbor?
Alderman Barber, go ahead.
I see how many people sitting out here. You gave away 30 cards, I see 15 of them here. So I think you'll have a response.
Yeah, I was.
Avail yourself
Sure.
to that.
Yeah, I was.
You'll have a response, and it could be a meaningful dialogue in exchange.
I'm certainly happy to do that.
Thank you. That's wonderful. We had a first and a second to table. That's the motion.
Table specific date.
Do you want to just go till the next meeting, or do you think you'll be able to handle it by the next meeting, or
I apologize. I should know how long is the next meeting.
it's the first and third Tuesday of the month?
May 7th and 21st.
We probably should do for the 2 meetings from now, if it's
May
every 2
21st?
weeks. Yeah, so May 21st.
So you're good with May 21st?
Let's shoot for that.
All right, that's the motion. Second for May 21st. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you very much. G7, D6, a resolution initially approving the final plat for the Cape Crossing Addition Number 1 subdivision at 12200 West Ryan Road. Cape Crossing LLC as the applicant. Mr. Fuchs.
This is a final plat for the second phase
folks.
of the.
We're still in there. If you want to take it outside, please take it out there.
Mayor, can we add that down the hallway too? Because sometimes people tend to congregate right outside the door and we can't hear to conduct business. Thank you.
I don't care. Come back.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. G7, Mr. Fuchs, you've got the floor.
Thank you. As you say, this is a final plat. It's for the second phase of the Cape Crossing subdivision. It consists of 25 single-family lots. All the lots do conform to PDD number 40 development standards, and the plat is in substantial compliance with the preliminary plat. So staff is recommending approval. The only condition is to have the applicant provide updated wetland delineations adjacent to 4 of the lots where the wetland setback does extend onto those lots specifically. So we'd like to have those updated, make sure there aren't any
We can't
further
close the door.
encroachments.
We have to hold a minute.
Keep going.
That's it.
That's it, good. Any
Recommend
further
approval.
discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're gonna get to that. I understand what you're gonna say. So right now, we're going to G8. Before we go into G8, we will take a 5-minute break, please. 5-minute break, come back at 8:15, 8:15.
Yeah.
Somebody hit the,
Kelly.
Kelly.
Yeah, we're.
5 minutes.
Good question.
Okay.
You'll
Thank
get a
you.
recess.
I don't think I need to go in there.
Are there, one of my neighbors wants to build a shed, just a corner storage, like a farm or something. What kind of coding does he have? We'll talk to planning.
I can't either.
Make sure that Okay, so there's really no restrictions, it's just the setbacks and the floodplain.
I don't know.
It's not gonna be a big.
Yeah, I don't know which one you want.
Right across from my house.
Yeah, just have a call planning.
Okay, we'll do.
We are submitting, so, and this is has funds that are earmarked for the community. If that community doesn't use them for a certain period of time, we go back into the general fund. So, we call it. So I am asking for funds.
I know I had such a headache. I have such bad allergies. My eyes itch. My eyes itch so bad.
But I'm also asking for monies that actually fix.
I know. It's like my eyelid is so dry from rubbing this.
Like, we studied it, know it's bad, we gotta go in and fix it. And it's obvious that those people aren't gonna pay for anything. So I'm asking for money for that too, but I'm also asking for money for, I think it's like over $1 million.
Well, it doesn't matter really. We stopped the
I got a
stream
call from.
because we would just start it up again anyway after meeting, right? I mean, when we go from the closed session, we stop both of them anyway,
Oh.
right? Oh. So do you want the stream on?
It's scary, isn't it? Having a bad life. You tell me when to say green or alpha. I don't care, green or alpha.
Recording in progress.
It is now 8:15 PM. We are back in open session. Back in open session. Mr. Begansky, back in open session. G8, City of Franklin Health Department Annual Report 2023. Good evening, Lauren, and please have a seat, Madam Director. It's your show. Thank you.
Great, thank you for having me. Would you be able to pull up the presentation, Kelly, if you get a moment? It's on the USB. All right, thank you for having me today. I'm here to talk about the initiatives that the Franklin Health Department delivered in the year of 2023, so last calendar year. We're going to just pull up a visual for the annual report, but you also have the report in front of you within the packet. Oftentimes, it's difficult to quickly piece through 20 pages, so I thought I'd just give a quick overview on PowerPoint. So right there, you'll see our foundational areas of work in our health department. As you all know, all of our work is centered primarily around communicable disease control, environmental health, maternal child health, chronic disease and injury prevention, as well as access and linkage to clinical care. So that's like finding care for people that don't otherwise have it, or really having access and linkage to service right in your community. We make a difference through the direct service that we provide, and that's often rooted in statutory requirement. Community engagement, so we pride ourselves on the relationships and partnerships we have to advance health forward in Franklin, so that's been on display in 2023. And then being a force for change, so coalitions, collaborations, our Franklin Health Department staff all work with data-driven initiatives, looking at data, health trends, health behaviors locally. Just wanted to point out some highlights and overviews from 2023 and the different areas of health that we focus on. In the health department, we have both a mix of historic programming that we've been offering for many, many years that community members have grown to depend on, but then also we really work to infuse innovative ways to reach the community. In 2023, we were recognized both at the state and national level, so that was pretty awesome for our health department staff to be able to showcase some of the things that are successful for health locally. And we had dozens of community events. So we've ramped up our emergency preparedness efforts. We have the RNC coming, but we're just in the stage of health department planning for that anyway. And we had over 10,500 direct contacts with community members. So that's like the one-on-one, talk to someone, gave information, educated, provided a service. For communicable disease control, you'll see in the first box over, something that we did was navigate out of the COVID-19 emergency response. So the emergency declaration ended last May, and with that also came waves of change. So then the COVID-19 vaccine was offered at cost, and we needed to look how to bridge that gap for our community members that were looking at ways to continue to protect themselves. So we applied and were granted a pilot for distributing free at-home test kits for COVID-19. Our staff responded to over 1,000 communicable disease follow-ups. So that's community members who had communicable disease. Our environmental health program, so you can imagine that as our sanitary and environmental health staff that do inspections at a variety of facilities. There we have a little bit of a pie graph that's broken down larger in your packet, but about 47% of our inspections were on restaurants, and then the breakdown is as followed for the 348 total that we did. For maternal child health initiatives, we do a lot of direct service and community education events in that regard. But one awesome thing that happened in 2023 was the spin up of our Franklin Health Collaborative. So that was born out of the community health assessment, and we have about 20 to 30 active participants that come together on a quarterly basis to meet and drive community health initiatives forward. So we actually just had our meeting today for whatever quarter we're in right now, of 2024, and it was great, and that all was born in 2023. We also had staff trained in youth mental health first aid, so looking at ways to bring that into the Franklin community and possibly offer a staff training, but have done some trainings within the school district and with other community organizations. Chronic disease and injury prevention, one of our shining stars in that is Volition Franklin. Megan Conway and Ellen Henry are with me today, and they both do education events in our department with that. Megan's the coalition coordinator and leads that group of all sectors of the community for substance misuse prevention. Through that, we were able to set the stage for Narcan distribution in our department, which has now started in 2024. We created an opioid misuse prevention toolkit with Fire PD and other partners to be able to address local problems with our local solutions. And then we've had our legacy program of our tobacco poster contest. And excitingly, we set the stage for Indian Community School to implement that in this calendar year. And then lastly, access to and linkage to care. We do mobile and blood pressure clinics within our health department so that people that are looking to have their blood pressure measured for heart health can come in. We do a really long-standing adult health and wellness fair, so that brings together different resources and community members at the public library every fall. So that's a program that we've been well known for and is really woven into the fabric of the community. And then social service referrals. So that's what spurred on that talk of potentially looking at like social workers response, but right now we do case management with our health department staff. And those typically are referrals from police, fire, a concerned neighbor, a family member. And the primary reasons for case management in 2023 included people that were trying to stay in their home, so aging in place. We have a continuously aging population here in Franklin, so that's always going to be there. Mental health concerns, medical concerns, and then falls is by far the leading cause. So people that are falling, tripping in their home, fire, PD are responding, and then we're looking at ways to be able to create a safe environment for the individuals in Franklin. And then lastly, just ways to get involved. So if your constituents are looking for ways to be involved, we always welcome individuals to volunteer with us. We had many, many volunteer hours, as you'll see in your packet. I believe it's noted at over 500. We generate a huge in-kind revenue through that, so over $150,000 of in-kind through our department towards health efforts last year. And we're really proud of the work that's being done. So thank you for your continued support, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Questions from the council?
Move to accept and place on file.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Further discussion, Alderman Holfer.
Thank you for this report. I think sometimes not just the council, but members of the community kind of lose track of all the different things that the health department touches over the course of the year and all the things that you do. I just wanted to reiterate what you kind of briefly glossed over, is that in 2023, the health department had direct contact with over 10,500 community members. That's an impressive number. You and I have talked on a variety of different things over time. Can you share a little bit about, we heard some thunder going on tonight. So when it comes to emergencies and preparedness and those kind of things, tell us a little bit about what you and the fire chief are kind of working towards.
Sure, I'd love to talk about that. Yeah, absolutely. So some of the things that you can imagine from a health perspective aren't as clear cut as the police or fire, but one of the things we do in our community that we've recently reviewed for 2024 is our open pod plan. So that would be a point of dispensing plan, and we work on that with Forest Park Middle School. And the idea is that if there was a terrorist event or mass vaccination need or some kind of crisis happening in the Franklin community, how would we route all individuals in Franklin through a location to get medication or necessary things within a certain time period? So oftentimes those are time bound and you have a limited time frame. So we exercise that annually. Some other things that we have a hand in is the emergency notification system. So right now, trying to look to ways to really build that so that individuals can get notifications through a secondary system when needed. We've historically worked with a system that doesn't necessarily have robust numbers, so working to build that. We're partnering with fire and police at the end of April for a severe weather emergency event. So figuring out what assisted living or senior living facilities would do in the case of severe weather, and how we could strike up a warming and cooling center and what kind of needs, because the name of the game of public health is prevention. So trying to prevent any crisis before it's happening, and how can we lay groundwork to best protect ourselves, realizing that the best laid plans sometimes go awry and that we'll need to pivot. Those are some of the preparedness efforts that we're working on right now, in addition to a lot of RNC planning.
Thank you, I appreciate it. The thing with me is, you know, when a big event happens, you have to have those plans in place ahead of time, and you have to have some rehearsal and good communication and all of those things. So I appreciate all the work that you guys do. Thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Craig, then Alderwoman Day.
Thank you. We have had I think, very positive talks in your office several times, and I want to thank you for everything that yourself and your department do for the city. As I've said to you on multiple occasions, that the fact that we don't know how much you guys actually do is a testament to how good you do what you do. That you don't draw a ton of attention because things are going really well is fantastic. My question is more to what you kind of alluded to with the youth outreach. So Franklin is unique because we serve 3 different school districts, Franklin Public Schools, Oak Creek, Franklin, and Whitnall. if called upon, how much would, because I know like, for example, because Oak Creek, Franklin, and Whitnall also have other municipalities that serve in that, and, you know, it becomes a little touchy of whose ground is this sort of thing. Is that something where, if called upon, that you'd be really gung-ho about going to, say, Whitnall High School and talking, using kind of the same stuff that you do at Franklin Public Schools?
I'm glad that you routed us back to Volition Franklin because I did a disservice to the group and I forgot to mention and call out what I was planning to about our Blue Ribbon Awards. So the Community Coalition Volition Franklin was highlighted at the White House this last year for its work in substance misuse prevention, and a huge pillar of that is our youth advocacy work. One of our high school youth were represented by the Department of Health and Human Services within Wisconsin as well. So it has set a stage that we're able to highlight what's working well here in Franklin, both at our middle and high school levels, and then bring that to other communities as well as an example. Greendale had written for their drug-free communities grant after some conversations with Franklin as well, so we're proud of that. They have that, but absolutely, we're always willing to serve as a resource. And furthermore, on that point, we're always looking to host students. So it's both advantageous for the student and us, whether that be a high school level, which we've had, master's, doctorate, to both build up public health, but help individuals get engaged civically with health, to start like speaking the language of local government or how they can make local change.
Super. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
Alderman Day?
Thank you. Thanks, Lauren, for the presentation. The report is excellent. And Alderman Craig kind of stole my thunder. I heard an analogy once when I was at a conference a few years ago. They talked about public health, and they used a football analogy, which I think kind of helps people understand maybe how public health works. And they called public health the offensive lineman of a football team, where if they're doing their job really, really well, the quarterback is protected, your assets are protected, nobody really knows about you. But if something goes wrong and that quarterback gets hurt, that's when you start to see, why did they get hurt? And to Alderman Craig's point, a well-functioning health department is the one that nobody hears about, because they're doing everything. They're doing the prevention work. They're doing everything ahead of the game to prevent things before they happen. So that's a testament to your leadership and your staff. So thank you for that. And then the only other thing I wanted to kind of put out there, when you talked about the foundational areas, and this gets a little bit in the weeds, so I won't go into too many details, but those are the state requirements, the Chapter 140 requirements, which are what health departments have to abide by. So they give you these buckets, and then you pick the programs that fill those buckets based on community needs, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the community health assessment and the CHIP kind of draw all of that together. So the requirements by the state are sort of nebulous, but the health departments then get to pick those services based on their community needs, which we have a very robust community health system. So thank you for that. I yield.
Thanks.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to note how appreciative I am, and I'm sure many residents in Franklin are, of how you and your department go outside the box of your normal Monday through Friday hours here at City Hall. You're present everywhere, in the evenings at events, on weekends at events, from the bike rodeo, trunk or treat, coming to the senior luncheons, presenting in the evening to our Three Lions clubs. I mean, the list is endless. Your department is everywhere, and it's really appreciated that you do that. So I just wanted to thank you for everything that you and your department does, and also congratulate you on the recognition that you received nationally as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. See no further comment. We had a first and a second to place on file. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion
Thank
carries.
you.
Thank you very much. G9, Rock Ballpark Commons, tentative 2024 schedule of events. Any discussion on this?
I'll make the motion to receive and place on file.
Is there a second to receive and place on file?
I'd like the motion to reflect that it is tentative.
Yes, I will state that again. So following is the Rock Ballpark Commons tentative 2024 schedule of events. We had a first.
Second.
And we had a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. G10. Memo summary as it relates to event permits, applications, and the county sound study as requested by the council. Madam Director of Administration. Good evening.
Good evening. I think, it pretty much states what, where we're at right now. There's a lot of items that need to be considered and decisions need to be made on. Some of them, most of them come back to the council. Some of them belong with a special licensing committee meeting. And then that, whatever those decisions are, obviously impact the enforcement of what those decisions are, and gives a very clear, hopefully defined path forward for our police department.
Absolutely. Further discussion on this right now? As there is a recommended motion. Recommended motion here is apply the event-related process currently within the municipal code and UDO provisions as clarified by Resolution 2024-8109 and the various documents noted above, and come to a consensus on any of the summarized items on the following page as the council deems appropriate. Consideration should be given to department duties and burdens, and reasonable completion dates should be set forth for each action. Is there a motion on this? Alderwoman Day?
I can make that motion, just a point of clarification. When it says reasonable completion dates should be set for each action, are you looking for those dates right now, or just that? Okay. Okay. Then I would make the motion as it's written.
And I'll second.
We have a first and a second. This will be a roll call, please.
Alderman Holfer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichmann.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
No.
5 ayes, 1 no, motion carries. Item G11, budget preparation timetable for the 2025 budget. Madam Director of Administration or Madam Finance Director, who wants to take this? Okay, to speak up a little bit, a little close.
Nope.
Loud.
All right. So this is the budget preparation timetable that I put together. That's basically in coordination with past budget timetables. Our code says that the mayor and director of administration should present this by the first Tuesday in May. That being said, I have went through the calendar and I have updated all of the dates as presented in the timetable. The only thing I wanted to note was that if for some reason there wasn't enough time for budget adoption, that I would recommend we could possibly move the final budget adoption to November 19th for the normal common council meeting. The only reason I suggested it be a special meeting on the 12th was to give us more time for tax calculation and tax preparation. I know last year we extended the budget adoption kind of late into November 28th. There's no statute requirement as to when it needs to be adopted, but in order to get taxes out, I would recommend a little bit more time this year. So again, I have it set that final adoption is November 12th, but we could move it to the 19th if possible. But otherwise, I just ask that it be approved as presented.
And
I
I-
move to approve
I'll
as
second.
amended, as presented.
Okay, we got a first and a second. There'll be some further discussion here. I'll start
It's amended
And-
to the 19th,
As presented.
as presented.
so you aren't changing the November 12th to the 19th?
I'm not asking that it be changed. I'm just saying that if needed, that we could go that later. And that's why I put in here that subsequent actions, that it may impact, but that we could go a little bit later if needed, that we're not bound to a specific time.
Thank you for that, because there was some feedback last year about the timing, and I applaud you for the calendar here you put here, and we had this discussion, so I definitely, hopefully, everything will be straight by the 12th.
Yep.
We have a first and a second. All's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Yes.
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 Barbara.
Eichmann.
Item G12. A resolution to award the 2024 local street improvement program contract to Payne and Dolan in the amount of $1,726,486.35.
So moved.
Second.
This will be roll call, please.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hopper.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. Item G13, D6, a resolution for acceptance of a stormwater facilities maintenance agreement and a stormwater management access easement for 9533 West Ryan Road, tax key number 894900200.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. G14, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2023-2569, an ordinance adopting the 2024 annual budgets for the Capital Outlay Fund, Capital Improvement Fund, and Street Improvement Fund to provide carry-forward appropriations from the 2023 annual budget for specifically identified projects and uses in the amount of $4,222,814.20. Madam Finance Director.
Sure. So now that we're coming down to meeting with CLA for our audit, we're finalizing our trial balance and finalizing all of the projects from 2023 that have remaining funds that should be carried forward into 2024 so that the projects can complete. These are project specific, so each ask here is based on a project that is needing to be completed in 2024 and is needing the funds to be carried forward.
Move to adopt.
Second.
We have a first and a second. This is a roll call vote.
Alderman Hopper.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Barber.
Oh, boy.
Or
Here we
Alderwoman
go.
Day.
I know, Mike. I don't know.
Aye.
Change your pronoun.
Could you repeat that, sir?
Oh,
Boom, shots fired.
Yes, sir. Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
6 ayes, no noes, motion carries. G15, D2, a resolution authorizing certain officials to execute a development agreement for public infrastructure improvements with AK Developers LLC for 7730 South Lovers Lane Road, tax key number 794-9999-007.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. G16, D2, a resolution for acceptance of a water main easement at 7730 South Lovers Lane Road, tax key number 794-9999-007.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First, second by Alderman Hassan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. G17, D2, a letter of support for a Ducks Unlimited application for the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation Sustain Our Great Lakes 2024 grant at Water Tower Park, located at 8120 South Lovers Lane Road, tax key numbers 801-9986-000, 801-9985-000, 801-9984-000, and 801-9987-000.
Motion to authorize.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. G18, a resolution authorizing an amendment to an agreement with CP2 Inc. for professional strategic planning services.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. G19, want some water first? An ordinance to amend 30-1 of the Muni Code to amend ward boundaries as required by 2023 Wisconsin Act 94. Do you want some water?
No, I don't.
Madam City Clerk? Okay.
With Wisconsin, 2023 Wisconsin Act 94, we had to do some redistricting with some of our wards. The two items that I passed out for you, and thank you to our GIS department and Glenn's department for helping me with this. The G19, that's just for reference where it says District 1, just so you can actually see the map where District 1 is and 2. I thought that might be helpful to some of you.
It is.
The other item that says G19 is the ordinance. And in your packet, in the council action sheet, I did not have all of the legal descriptions at that time, because at first the county said just the census numbers, and then they asked for the legals. So I didn't want to put that on staff. So the one that is handed out at your place, G19, has all the legal descriptions and the census blocks in there. The only thing that we were doing was the legislative went through wards 8 or 9 and 10. So if you look on page 279, you'll see the green line where the line went through 9 and 10. So we had to move the portion underneath 9 in talking with our GS department and the state. They thought it would be best to move that section over into 8. And then below that, where we split 10, that would go into Ward 11. And with this, then it helped us alleviate all the A, Bs, and Cs we have. So I was able to get rid of all the A, Bs, and Cs.
Great job.
So if you look on page 281, that is a map of all the wards and the districts and how it's going to look for the August election.
Motion to approve with the legal descriptions.
Second. Oops, we have a first and a second. Alderwoman Eichman.
Thank you, Mayor. So just for clarification and for those listening, this is not at all changing any of the districts or the district lines. It's strictly only the wards, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The voting polls won't be changing?
Nope.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. Also, will new maps need to be printed for these new wards and put on our website, posted out here? And do we just inquire the costs on doing all of that then, I assume?
Yeah, our GIS department will print the maps.
Thank you.
So they'll be printed in house.
Thank you. And for your work on this.
So we have a first and a second, and I echo your excellent job, Shirley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Let's see here. Item G20, a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85, 1 sub 1 sub G, to confer with legal counsel for the common counsel who is rendering advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to the subject claim and litigation in which it is likely to become involved, and to re-enter closed session at the same time and place thereafter, to act on such matters discussed therein as deemed appropriate.
Move to approve.
We don't
Second.
do licensing first?
No.
Okay.
First
I'll
and
second.
second. We already have a second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Craig?
Aye.
Alderman Barber?
Aye.
Alderwoman Day?
Aye.
Alderman Hassan?
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman?
Aye.
Alderman Hofer?
Aye.
6 ayes on those. Motion carries. We're slowly creeping into closed session.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
It is 9:23. We're back in open session. There's no action taken on G20. G21, motion to enter in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85 sub 1 sub G, to confer with legal counsel for the common counsel who is rendering advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to the James Mudloff versus City of Franklin Eco Resource Consulting Incorporated and Ideal Land Management Services, LLC, Milwaukee County Circuit Court Case Number 23-CV-1053 litigation, and to re-enter into open session at the same place thereafter to act on such matters discussed therein as it deems appropriate.
So moved.
Second.
We've got a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hofer?
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman?
Aye.
Alderman Hassan?
Aye.
Alderwoman Day?
Aye.
Alderman Barber?
Aye.
Alderman Craig?
Aye.
6 ayes on those. Motion carries. We are slowly.
Record.
Is that green arrow, Alpha? It is now 9:29 PM. We are back in open session. No action taken. Going on to G22. A motion to enter closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, sub 1, sub E as in Edward, to deliberate upon the tax incremental district number 5 development agreement shortfall and payment in lieu of taxes and related agreements, provisions, the negotiation of provisions and terms, and the investing of public funds in relation thereto for competitive and bargaining reasons, and to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act on such matters discussed therein as it deems appropriate.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Holfer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Nope.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
5 ayes, 1 no. Motion carries. We're going into closed session slowly, cautiously.
Recording stopped.
It is 10:32 PM. We are back in open session. The motion is to direct legal counsel to proceed as discussed in closed session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item G23, I will go right down to the motion, not this book. A motion to enter closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 1985, sub 1, sub E as in Edward, for competitive and bargaining reasons, to consider the potential acquisition of a portion of the property by way of acquiring easements on the properties identified in the title of this meeting agenda item for such purposes and the acquisition of a portion of the property by way of acquiring fee simple ownership on the property identified in the title of this meeting agenda item for such purpose, for the installation, operation, and maintenance of public improvements and facilities as part of the Department of Public Works Utility Facility Development and Expansion Project, and the negotiating of the purchases and the investing of public funds with regard to the potential acquisitions thereof, and to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act on such matters discussed therein as it deems appropriate.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call, please. Hold on.
Alderman Holfer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan.
Absent.
Alderwoman-
Absent as of 10:21 PM.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Everybody
Alderman
breathe.
Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nos, 1 absent. Motion
Recording stopped.
carries. I don't know.
Recording in progress.
All right. It is now 10:49 PM. We are back in open session. The motion was as to proceed as directed in closed session. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. We're going to move now swiftly to licenses. Who's taking that tonight?
That would be me, Mayor.
Alderwoman Eichman, you have licenses, H's and head.
Thank you. All right, the License Committee met today at 5:15 PM. I, Alderwoman Eichman, called the meeting. We approved all operator and renewal, including renewal and new on the first page up to the last operator, new and renewal. An applicant for the Rock Sports Complex. We put that on hold for that particular party to come in and make a correction of their application. As we go to page 2 of 3 of the operator renewal and new licenses, on page 2, all were approved. Then as we move along to page 3, the first operator renewal, again, an applicant, neither here nor there, they employ a lot of people, but she is also with the Rock Sports Complex. We are requesting that she comes in and makes a simple correction of her application as well. And then the others underneath, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, were all approved. We adjourned as license committee at 5:45. Alderman Craig made the motion to adjourn, seconded by Alderwoman Day. We all voted aye. And that is all we have.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Mr. Hofer, let's do a roll call on this.
Alderman Hofer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan is excused. Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
5 ayes, no noes, 1 excused, motion carries. Now we're going to IITA, vouchers and payroll, 4 points. Point 1, city vouchers with an ending date of April 11, 2024, in the amount of $1,807,093.23. Point number 2, payroll dated April 5th, 2024, in the amount of $469,228.68, and payments of the various payroll deductions in the amount of $246,171.67 plus city matching payments. And point 3, estimated payroll dated April 19th, 2024, in the amount of $514,000 even, and payments of the various payroll deductions in the amount of $510,000 plus city matching payments. And point 4, estimated payroll dated May 3rd, 2024, in the amount of $465,000, the payments of the various payroll deductions in the amount of $250,000 plus city matching payments.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Craig.
Aye.
Alderman Barber.
Aye.
Alderwoman Day.
Aye.
Alderman Hassan is excused. Alderwoman Eichman.
Aye.
Alderman Hofer.
Aye.
5 ayes, no noes, 1 absent. Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.